Hey, everybody, it's Doug Green, and I'm the publisher of Technology Reseller News. And I'm very pleased to have with me today Clinton Fitch, Director of Strategic Partnership at Ooma. Clinton, thank you for joining me today.
You bet, Doug. Good to be here. Good to see you again.
Well, we're going to be talking about POTS. We're going to be talking about POTS replacement, migration from POTS, and the urgency of this whole situation, given the fact that there are probably tens of thousands of locations still with POTS. There's a lot of movement. We're going to be talking about all that. But Clinton, real quick, first of all, what is Ooma?
So Ooma, we are a in the cloud born company. We've been around for 20 years. We have a lot of UCaaS solutions, as well as fixed wireless and POTS replacement as well, which is what I'll be talking about today. We've got about 1,200 employees scattered across the nation, and we service well over 100 countries.
So, it seems like Ooma's got it in its DNA right from the beginning as a cloud-based company to help people with legacy, with the migration from legacy to something better.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you take the broadest sense of the term POTS replacement, Ooma's been doing that for 20 years. We started in the residential space with folks getting away from their traditional phone lines that were plugged in to the wall at home, and provided them with a UCaaS solution that would allow them to have it over their internet connection, right? And have mobile apps on their mobile phones, be it Android, iPhone, whatever. So it provided a lot more robust experience for them from a feature perspective and a functionality perspective. And we've just taken that pedigree of replacing those old lines, and we've taken it into the commercial side with AirDial, where we're able to replace those more difficult phone lines that are left. So think about the ones that are in elevators, or think about the ones that are for fire alarm panels or door entry systems, and IoT monitoring solutions, those kind of things. A lot of those POTS lines, companies like Ooma, we've kind of left those alone up until the last 3 or 4 years, because they're difficult to replace and challenging to get to physically in some cases. But with AirDial, we're leveraging our cloud experience, 2.5 million people on the cloud that this rides on. And it's leveraging our experience of doing POTS replacement. And now we're doing it with a solution that's certified to work with those fire alarm panels, certified to work with those elevator phones. In fact, Frost & Sullivan just a couple of weeks ago gave us a really high rating of being the POTS replacement to go with. So we're really proud of that. And based on what we're seeing from our partners, based on what we're seeing ourselves, the need for POTS replacement is only accelerating at this point, especially with some of the announcements that have happened in the industry over the last few months. AT&T at their investor conference in December said that they were going to be out of the copper business by 2029. That has an impact not only on end customers who may get notified, within 30 days, hey, your elevator phone's not going to work anymore because we're cutting this line, but it also impacts local exchange carriers who depend on those lines from the larger carriers, those who own the copper. It impacts them as well. So the time for POTS replacement is really now. I've said before, you and I have talked before in the past, if you're a business and you're not looking at POTS replacement, you're a little bit behind the ball now, and it could end up being a situation where you're stuck in a queue of getting your devices replaced. But from a carrier perspective, from an exchange carrier perspective, this is a little bit about maintaining your revenue as well. If you've got a POTS replacement solution on lines that are going to go away, then you have an opportunity with something like AirDial to be able to keep those customers because they're going somewhere. And it's an opportunity for you to continue to maintain that base and be that trusted advisor for them.
And as a matter of fact, you actually have some slides with us today, to sort of illustrate some of this movement.
Yeah, I do, and it's really interesting to see where everything has been trending. So if you look at this slide, back in 2005, so 20 years ago, there were over almost 171 million POTS lines in the United States. Now, this is just looking at the United States, and this is from telegeography. In 2024, it was down to 11.6 million. Now, a lot of those lines were phone lines, right? So as I shared before, right, the desktop phones and the phones at home and everything, those have all kind of largely gone away because companies like Ooma and those that we compete against in the space, in the UCaaS space, we've kind of all replaced those lines. What's really left are those difficult lines that I was talking about, the ones that are for elevators and fire alarm panels and so forth. And the pressure now is that carriers are starting to deprecate these lines at a faster rate than they ever have. So I made the comment about AT&T a few minutes ago, but this all stems back from the FCC, a ruling that they had in 2019 that went into effect in August of 2022, where the carriers could start getting rid of these lines, and they could also start charging whatever they wanted for these lines. And so this is now starting to really catch momentum and speed. In fact, we keep track of the FCC wireline notices, and over the course of last year, we saw 30, 40 announcements a quarter, and then in the last quarter, it was over almost 300 announcements, right? So the carriers have really started stepping on the accelerator. And again, it puts end customers at risk, but it also puts those who depend on those carriers, the LECs that are out there depend on them, it puts them at risk as well. And so if you take it a little further and talk about where customers are migrating, the migration has already started to happen. And what is really interesting is as we go and survey these customers, we ask them, what's driving this? And a lot of them are looking at cost. The lines are going up and so on and so forth. And when we ask them, where are you on your journey on this? 34% are looking at replacement vendors, and some are evaluating vendors. Some have already selected solutions and so on and so forth. If you look at the slide, and you're down at the bottom of this slide, we're continuing to use analog lines, or we don't have a plan yet, or we don't know. Those are the folks that are really going to get stuck, because what will happen is there's going to end up being a queue for the solution to replace those POTS lines, and they're going to have to be in the queue, and that could be business impacting. If you can't have a phone in your elevator, you can't run that elevator, kind of thing, right? So for anybody who's listening to this podcast, if you're in that bottom line, those analog lines are going to go away. Hope's not a strategy. It will go away, but you really need to start working on a plan. And what's interesting is we ask these customers, what are you looking for in a vendor? They really want a trusted partner, right? They want somebody, over 50% of them want somebody that they know and they can trust, and so forth. A lot of carriers, a lot of the local exchange carriers in rural areas and so forth, you are the trusted advisor for them. And so you have a way to talk to them about POTS replacement solutions that other folks may not have the opportunity to do, a competing solution or what have you. Obviously, customers can come directly to us, and carriers can partner with us and resell the solution. But if you've already got the established relationship with your end customer, this is a good opportunity for you to maintain that relationship. And so if you're one of these exchange carriers in regional area, you're serving a rural area or whatever, you're working as a co-op or something like that, the time to get into this market really is now, right? It is a situation where these lines are going to go away, and even as an exchange carrier, you could be told, by the way, these lines are going away, in 90 days or something like that, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. So getting into this now is really where you need to be. If you are that type of business, it will help you maintain a healthy revenue stream. These customers won't leave to go to somebody else. You can keep them. You can keep them delighted. They know you. They trust you. And as I've said a couple of times, it gets you ahead of the traffic jam that is going to happen. One of the things that we're seeing is that as we get closer and closer to the 2027, 28, 29 timeframe, the road to POTS replacement is going to continue to narrow. And so it's going to become more and more congested, just like a traffic jam. And in any major city, you start adding customers who need a POTS replacement solution to the highway. you're going to end up in a traffic jam. So trying to get ahead of that traffic jam is the best thing to do. How do you do that when you're leaving the office? You leave a little bit early, right? Well, it's time to get in, right? So get in early, get in now. And again, to those end customers who listen to this podcast, if you don't have a plan or a strategy, it's really time to start developing that. We can help you. Obviously, Ooma has folks that can help you, but you can also talk to your local carrier and see if they've got a solution, or they're selling AirDial as well. So the solution itself is designed to be an all-in-one turnkey solution. So carriers can go in and they can resell this. They go and put it into the customer premise, and it solves the problem for them. It's got Ethernet and LTE connectivity. So if you can put it on net or off net using LTE. We have an MFVN, which is a managed facility network connection between us and our carrier partners. So that means that the communication that happens on AirDial is encrypted and secure, so it's going over a private network. Part of the certifications that AirDial has, like the ASME certification or the NFPA certification, in order to have those, we have to have private connectivity. So we've built that in from the ground up, and we've always had that. And everything can be managed remotely. So you have one interface that you go to. Again, this is a cloud-based solution because that's our pedigree and that's what we do. So as a carrier, you can go and manage those customers' installs. You don't have to give them access if you don't want to. You can put it into a managed service or something like that. Or you can give them access. It's really up to you, however your business model works. We don't tell you one way or another. It's however your business model works. But they could go and you manage all the ports there, you manage the LTE connectivity, and so forth. And one thing that separates us from some of the other solutions that are out there is we have a patented piece that's inside of AirDial called multipath transport. So we're duplicating the packets, the voice packets, across both the Ethernet and the LTE at the same time. And it's kind of a best packet wins. So whichever one is the highest quality, gets there faster, so on and so forth, that's the one we use. So it means the call never fails, right? So if somebody pushes an emergency button in an elevator, they want that call to happen, right? So this assures that it happens, right? And the customer or the end user has no idea if it's on wired or wireless or whatever. And as I mentioned, we've just won an award from Frost & Sullivan as the leading POTS replacement solution out there. We're very proud of that, and it shows the work that we've been putting into this product since its inception, 3 years ago, and we've been in the market now, and we've got tens of thousands of these units that are out there in the market across all types of verticals, customer profiles, customer types. It doesn't really matter. It's pretty agnostic from that perspective. So from our perspective and for a carrier, it is turnkey. It is designed to be plug and play as best that we can do. And we have experiences in all those use cases where property management or retail locations or hospitals or what have you. If it's modem-based technology, we can work with AirDial on that. We have no problem with that. If it is a high volume fax, that's for a hospital or an auto dealership or something like that, we support that as well. And then of course you've got all those certifications that kind of have on the bottom of the slide here. We are HIPAA and PCI compliant because we are a pass-through device. And then we have all the various certifications for NFPA. We have the California Fire Marshal as well as the New York Fire Department certification. So anybody in those cities can use it. But usually for most fire marshals, NFPA is all they're looking for and all they need. And it is built on a network that's got over 2 million users, right? So it's a cloud-based platform that is going to be there 24/7 by 365, just like our support team. So for those who are interested in AirDial, and if you're in whether you're an exchange carrier or not, you can email exchangecarrier@ooma.com or scan the QR code there. That'll get you in contact with our team. We'll get you set up with the information that you need to make a decision. It could very well be you end up talking to me because as a strategic partnership manager or director here at Ooma, a lot of our carrier partners, they end up with my team. So it may be me that you're talking to or somebody on my team. But we are at a point now with with POTS that it's not a question of the lines going away. They are going to go away. Whether you're an end customer, whether you're an exchange carrier in a rural part of a state or something like that, where you're dependent on the larger carriers, those lines are going to go away at some point. And the sooner you start looking at how you can maintain your customer base, how you can maintain your revenue through POTS replacement, the better position you're going to be as a carrier to help those customers and be that trusted advisor that you've been for a long time. So Doug, there you go. That's AirDial in a nutshell, and how we approach it from an industry and a partnership perspective. And yeah, we encourage everybody to reach out to us at this point. Like I said, you're kind of behind the ball if you haven't started this journey yet.
Well, Clinton, I really want to thank you for joining me today. It's been very interesting. It really is the big takeaway is this is an accelerating process, but a big opportunity, sure. And you don't want to let your customers be left behind with this facing this issue.
Yeah, exactly, Doug. It is, and especially as a carrier that's out there, you have an established relationship, and so the opportunity to continue that relationship and to maintain a revenue stream with that customer. It's imperative. The world's changing, and it's changing quick, and these POTS lines, they're going away, and they're going away much faster than they were even just 6 months ago. But for sure, yeah. So carriers out there really need to decide how they want to go about tackling this.
So everybody, all you have to do is just scan this and take a look or get in touch.
Absolutely, and that'll get you in contact with somebody on the Ooma team. And we'll be happy to help you figure out what your strategy needs to be and work with you as your trusted advisor to figure out what's best for you and your partners. Doug, thanks so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm looking forward to further news and information about this. But for now, thank you.
You bet. Thank you.